Welcome everyone to the third discussion of the book Annihilation of Caste under the SARA book club. I welcome all of you and those who are joining first time. So SARA stands for Savitribai Ramabai Institute of Data Science. And we are an Ambedkarite non-profit education institute, and we strongly believe that education belongs to everyone. That's why with the changing time, we provide low-cost data science education, and we always give priority to marginalized communities and women in our courses. Following our mission, we recently completed third SARA summer school, R4 researchers. It was for 5 days residential. And in this picture, I like this picture because here we have the students, teacher, and the community supporters. And my mom, of course, yes, she's my mom here. Yes, my daughter, my wife, and all the communities here, family, community, and students. And together we are trying to bring something good and strong for the community. Like the way education is changing, coding, understanding coding, how it works, and learning coding, how it works is very important. In different disciplines. So in this direction, we conducted recently. We completed successfully third SARA summer school. Congratulations to all of you who are here, Dr. Vivek, Cecilia, Dolphin, Nikki, and other friends. Those who are watching it now on YouTube, maybe. So congratulations to all of you. We are able to do this with the support of community only, and the belief you have, yes, what we are doing, it is important, and what we are doing, it's right. So thank you so much to all of you. And if you believe our work is important, so kindly donate to the SARA Institute. This is the QR code you can pay here. And to receive all the updates about the SARA WhatsApp channel is here. So you can scan this QR code to follow the SARA WhatsApp channel so that you will get all the updates, what SARA is planning or what we are doing right now. Right. So this discussion is part of SARA Book Club, and we also request you to on this link, which I will share in the link somewhere, I guess, in the YouTube when I will share. You can see that around 40 books we have selected under this book club to prepare a study material under the bridge course. So you can donate these books as well if you want to. Like recently, Neeraj Kushwaha, he donated 2 books to SARA, and we received also. So thank you so much to Neeraj for donating these 2 beautiful books. One is The Gene and one is The Cosmos by Carl Sagan. So thank you so much. And you too can access this link on the SARA website and see which books. If you have old books, you can send those books to us if they are no more useful to you. And if you want to send new books from the list, please, you can do that as well. And the books we have, they are from social sciences, science, geography, GK, diverse field, so that we can prepare after reading these books, a 3 months intensive course, which will cover the essential education. And if you think we missed any book which you think is important, so please, you can recommend that book as well to us. We'll be very happy to, incorporate your suggested book. So now about today's discussion. So I would like to welcome today's expert, Dr. Vivek, moderator, Dr. Cecilia, and present myself. So yeah, please few words about yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think people might have already met me in the past 2 sessions. My name is Vivek, and I have a PhD in political science from JNU, and currently I am an assistant professor in political science. And I look forward to this last session of the discussion.
Yes, yeah, Dr. Cecilia.
Hello, everyone. Yes, my name is Cecilia. I am currently a postdoctoral researcher at the Max Planck Institute of Animal Behavior in Germany. I was not here at the second session, unfortunately, but I'm very happy I could be here today for the last session on this book. And yes, I will take some notes and moderate the session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, both of you, giving your time on Sunday, I guess. So thank you. So previous two sessions are already shared on the SARA YouTube channel. So if anyone of you have missed those, you can go through and, to keep the consistency, you can first watch the discussion number 1, then 2, and then gradually the recording of this session will also be there on the SARA YouTube channel, and then you can watch it there. Okay. So I think before proceeding, I would like to read the disclaimer and then we will start. So, okay. Yes, 1 minute. Yeah. So this presentation has been prepared for the SARA Book Club. Session 3, it's supposed to be as part of the internal academic discussion on Annihilation of Caste by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Caste is a sensitive and deeply personal subject. All views expressed here during this session are those of individual participants and don't represent the official position of SARA or any of its affiliated persons or programs. SARA bears no responsibility for opinions shared in the course of this discussion. All participants are requested to engage with kindness, respect, and restraint. Language that is provocative, discriminatory, or hurtful toward any community, caste, or individual has no place in this space and will not be encouraged. The primary purpose of this session is academic and pedagogical to identify the key arguments, ideas, and lessons from Dr. Ambedkar's work that can be meaningfully and sensitively introduced to the students in the SARA Bridge Course Level 1. We enter this discussion in the spirit of learning, not of debate or confrontation. Thank you. So the third discussion will start, and I will click on this link, so I will reach directly to the slide. And slide number is 73. If you want, I can drop the link if you want this. Okay. So we will follow from, it is part 14 means the paragraph 14 from the book. And from that paragraph onwards, we will read now. I think, Dr. Vivek, it will be helpful if you give a little brief, in which context this book was written and what important ideas we covered so far.
Yeah, so in the past session, we discussed from section 3 to I think section 15 of the book. And we discussed some of the continuation of the ideas like the need for having social reforms before economic reforms, the need for having social reform before political reform. So in a way, when Dr. Ambedkar is writing this speech, he is in conversation with the existing discourse that is there. So you have the nationalist, you have the socialist, and he is responding to them. And then later he is also responding to the people who are supporting the idea of caste, or if they are not supporting caste, maybe they are supporting the idea of Varna. So he's looking at their arguments and responding to them and telling them that these are not really consistent kind of ideas, that if you are saying this is not really good for society, this is not something that can be seen as beneficial. So, and he emphasizes on this point that caste is something that makes this brings an anti-social kind of spirit among the Hindus, because everyone has this consciousness of being belonging to the caste group that they belong to. They have their affinity towards them and not for the larger community. Right? So he's also questioning how caste itself can be an anti-national kind of idea. So he brings that idea as well. He's talking about how this lack of common solidarity also prevents the Hinduism from being a missionary kind of religion, or or allowing the aboriginals to be in a very underdeveloped kind of state, because there is no sense of affinity for those people who are living in the country, right? So your affinity lies only with the people of your caste. He also talks of the idea of reform and how caste system can be used to stop any sort of reform. So he says that even if you try to break the system, the society will excommunicate you. They will remove you from the society, and that is worse than even death, perhaps, right? Because people are humans, are social beings, so they need society to live. And because this fear of excommunication is always there, that is why it's very difficult for individuals to lead any kind of reform against caste. Right? So what we need is something else. That is what he is hinting towards here. Uh, and then, yeah, in part 14, he then moves on to discuss the ideal society. So after criticizing the problems of caste, how it has an anti-social spirit, how it is breaking or limiting the kind of affinity that people have, he's now talking about what is the kind of society that we should have. And there he is in section 14, he's talking about the ideal society, where he says that ideal society should be based on liberty, equality, and fraternity. These three values, which he is drawing from the French Revolution, but also he claims that he is drawing from Buddha, that these are values that are coming from the Buddha's philosophy. So I think we can start from here, or we did discuss section 14 and 15 as well. So we could move to section 16, perhaps.
Okay. I doubt. Did we
Okay,
start?
so maybe we can, yeah, this is an important section anyway, so we can cover it. Yeah, yeah.
So Baba Sahib is now trying to give the solution. What problems he discussed about the one second. Yes, the problem he discussed about in the Hinduism. He says in paragraph 14.1, if you ask me, my ideal would be a society based on liberty, equality, and fraternity. And why not? And in the coming paragraphs, he argued why liberty, equality, and fraternity actually can help us. Um, okay, would you like to share from where these ideas came, Dr. Vivek? Liberty, equality, fraternity.
Yeah, like I said, one commonly cited source for this is the French Revolution. These were the three principles of the French Revolution. And Baba Sahib then goes on to argue that these are principles that no one should have a problem with. No one should really deny fraternity, or no one should deny equality and liberty, right? At the same time, he doesn't mention it here, but in some of his other works, he says that liberty, equality, and fraternity. These are not just things that I'm borrowing from the French Revolution, but also from the philosophy of Buddha. So the Buddhist idea of the Sangh, which is a form of community and has a sense of fraternity, or the idea of metta, friendship, or affiliation towards the all the rest of the society, or the idea of liberty in Buddhism, that one should have the liberty to think on their own, to reason on their own, right? And everyone should be treated equally, irrespective of what caste they come from. So these are also values that he's saying, these are not only coming from the French Revolution, but also from Buddhist philosophy in the ancient India.
Thank you. And correct me if I'm wrong. French Revolution happened after the Dark Ages in Europe. Is it correct?
Yeah, yeah. It would be around 1789. I think Dr. Cecilia is.
94, 70, something, yes.
Yes.
Approximately,
Yeah,
can say.
Exactly.
Like
End of
after the
1700s.
Dark Ages, the big thing happened is the French Revolution, from which we think that like emancipation, new knowledge, new science, everything came forward. Okay. So I think Baba Sahib is referring to the Dark Ages going on in India and what he's expecting, in the coming years after the liberty, equality, and fraternity. Okay, so let's see. Right. So then there must be social endosmosis. This is fraternity, which is only another name of democracy. Here, Baba Sahib borrowed this term from the biology, and social endosmosis. So, Dr. Vivek, you need to do a lot of exercise today. We need to rush. Yes. So, yes.
Yeah. So This is a very interesting term that Baba Sahib is bringing, social endosmosis, because endosmosis is something that we usually hear of in biology, or maybe osmosis is something people might have heard of, that we use reverse osmosis for water purification. So basically, osmosis means that a thing is permeating from one layer to another, it is able to pass through. Now, when he's using the term social endosmosis, he's drawing this term from his teacher, John Dewey, who used it in his book, Democracy and Education. So he uses this term to say that social endosmosis would mean when there are open channels of communication between different sections of society. So society should be porous. It should not be in rigid compartment. There should be an intermixing of the different section of society. Ideas should intermix. People should intermix, and only then we can actually have democracy. So they're taking a term from biology and applying it in analyzing society in a very beautiful kind of a way. I think that makes it, and like this is a term that I think Dewey uses once, but Ambedkar is very fascinated by this term, and this term keeps on coming in his writings several times.
And this term is exactly opposite to what Baba Sahib referred to caste system as watertight compartments.
Right.
So I think it's a beautiful contradiction in his writing. The way he contrasts it. Caste system is a watertight compartments, and what we need is actually the social and osmosis. That's
right.
It. So, so, so democracy is not merely a form of government. It is primarily a mode of associated living of conjoint communicated experience. It is essentially an attitude of respect and reverence towards fellow men. So that's beautiful. The democracy is also about the respect and reverence towards the fellow man. Right? So it's not just the government. Right. Great. So please stop me where you want to add something which we missed, Dr. Vivek.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
So then he talked about liberty. Liberty to choose one's profession. In 14.3, he mentioned. But to object to this kind of liberty is to perpetuate slavery. It means a state of society in which some men are forced to accept from others the purposes which control their conduct. I think here Baba is referring to the caste-based work, and how a person is not free to choose his or her profession, and it comes just by birth. If your father was doing this, you are supposed to do that, right? So it means the ideas of caste are exactly opposite to the when he was talking about liberty, fraternity. Now, after that, Baba Sahib says immense power is dependent upon physical heredity, social inheritance, and on his own efforts. So I just scheme these three important parts what Baba Sahib was mentioning. How a man get his real strength in society: his physical heredity, social inheritance, and on his own efforts. It is obvious that those individuals also in whose favor there is birth, education, family name, business connections, and inherited wealth would be selected in the race. And because none of the things which are mentioned here, birth, education, family name, business connections, and inherited wealth were ever with the Shudras and the Dalits. So it means automatically the people who will be in the caste-based society, the people who already are winning just by birth and also by education and the family name and the business and organization connections and inherited wealth. Okay. But selection under such circumstances would not be a selection of the able. It would be the selection of the privileged, making them equal as far as possible at the very start of the race. So that's what he aims for. Where the race is beginning, they should be equal there. And then, we can say, okay, now we are giving a fair chance to everybody in the society. But in general, I guess The people who comes, like I'm fond of this word birth, a person in India became privileged just by the birth itself, where you are born, and that is the privilege. And only caste system can give that privilege, I guess, that is. Yes, any views here, Dr. Vivek or
Yeah. Yeah, I think here Dr. Ambedkar is kind of anticipating what could be the objections to equality, or what one might say, because prior to this paragraph, there's a line: equality may be a fiction, but nonetheless, one must accept it as the governing principle. So it might not be possible to treat everyone equally all the time. It might be a big ideal, it might be a fictitious kind of a condition, but it must nonetheless be a governing principle for us, right? And then he's saying, how are people unequal? People are unequal based on these three things: physical hereditary, the inheritance from their society, and based on their own efforts. So if we are treating the physical hereditary, which is just a matter of lottery in some ways, or what caste you are born into is again a matter of just accident. In that sense, if you are deciding based on those circumstances, it will always be the privileged ones, like you pointed out. It will always be those who have had the access to resources, to wealth, to connections, and education, income. These are the people who are always going to be selected. That doesn't mean that it is the selection of the most able. Right? So, the only place where we should treat people unequally is based on their own efforts. So we should, by that logic, we should treat them equally in all other respects. Right? So we should only look at the effort that an individual is putting in, and that can be a fair basis of inequality or unequal distinction between the people, but not these kind of predetermined birth-based distinctions. So that is how he's saying that this is how equality can be there, even if it is an ideal, even if it is not completely possible.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Vivek. Dr. Cecilia, any views about this so far?
Everything. I was just thinking before that he has really, I think we've said it many, many times so far, that he has a way of writing that is just beautiful. Like he's a very, very good writer, and all of this ideas are so clear. Like everything he writes, it comes across so clearly because it doesn't need to explain a concept with so many words, right? It needs just a sentence, and it's like, to me, it's like it's there. The concept is there. Like I was thinking now, what you said, like, yes, list all these things that I like how Viva put it, like it's a lottery, like birth, family name, business connection. This, as an individual, you have no control over. It gets inherited. It's a lottery. And then the next sentence is just close it. For me, it's like selection under such circumstances, not a selection of the able. And to me, it's also like, in theory, everybody is able. Everybody given a chance is able to do anything. The problem is that it's the race, right? At the start of the race, you give them different tools, and then, of course, then you select them already at the beginning of the race. It never gives them a chance to go forward. So yes, this, to me, it's like, it's so great. Like in one page you put the whole concept, and it's just beautifully put. Sorry, there is a comment in the chat. Where did he introduce the term a positive discrimination as social inheritance of the people is unequal? Do you know, Dr. Vivek?
I'm not sure I completely understood the question. If you could expand upon it a little bit. Why did he... And what I am able to get, perhaps the question is asking why Baba Sahib is talking of social inheritance as something that is unequal. I think he's pointing to how different communities will have different levels of what we can call social capital. And the connections that you inherit, the past knowledge that you inherit, the skills that you inherit from a particular upbringing or being associated with a occupation, those are unequally distributed, and they are inherited socially in a caste system. So it's not again, there is no free flow of these ideas. So if you want to do trade, it would only be the caste which are in the Vaishyas who would know the techniques of doing trade, how to measure things, how to buy, where to sell, and so on, right? And this is not something that will be inherited by anyone else. So that way, it is a closed kind of a system where you inherit all of this information only within the caste, and it doesn't go outside the caste. And that again is unfair, according to him. It is not something that you can blame a person for. The only thing you can actually say is whether the person put in effort or not. That should be the basis of the reality. This is a social crucial. Yeah, so I think that is what he's suggesting, that the social capital that is there within different communities, there is a high level of difference between them. So because, and in the next few sections, he does talk about this, that how there is a limit, or how the upper caste have prevented the access to education, wealth, and arms. Three things to the Shudras, which actually stops them from thinking of their own interest. So, because of that, they do not inherit all of this social capital, and therefore they will be lacking. So, this unequal kind of distribution of social capital is exactly what he is pointing towards here. I hope that answers a bit of the question.
Okay. Thank you, both of you, Rajeshri and Vivek, Dr. Vivek. Thank you, both of you. We'll move forward to part 15, which is para 15. Here, Baba Sahib is critiquing about the Chatur Varna. Chatur is standing for word four, and Varna means categories. So, Chatur Varna, and like this word, Chatur Varna. And there are many people at that time, they were saying the caste system is not based upon the discrimination, but actually upon the worth of a person, and that's why these divisions are required. So they all were the protagonists of Chaturvarna, and how Baba Sahib says, and the differences and the similarities between Chaturvarna and the caste system, we will see in this paragraph. Okay. The protagonists, mainly Arya Samajis, the protagonists of Chaturvarnas take great care to point out that Chaturvarna is based not on birth, but on guna. Guna means worth, like the worth of a person based upon the capability, we can say that, something close to capability. Guna. So it so that's why they are actually trying to, okay, let me stop and go for next thing. I don't understand why the Arya Samajists insist upon labeling men as Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So their argument was that the caste system is based upon the birth, but Chaturvarna is not based upon the birth, but is actually based upon the guna, the worth and the capability of a person. So then Baba Sahib asked, then why they insist in Chaturvarna is four categories, still you want to use the same labels as Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Then Baba Sahib wrote, names which are associated with a definite and fixed notion in the mind of every Hindu. The notion is that of a hierarchy based on birth. So that is his argument. This, if you are going to use the same categories and the names in the same order, they have a particular meaning in Hindus' mind, right? So it doesn't make any sense to this hierarchy if you call this caste system or you call it a Chaturvarna. So long as these names continue, Hindus will continue to think of the Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra as hierarchical divisions of high and low based on birth and to act accordingly. Right? So these are few comment about the Chaturvarnas from Baba Sahib's side, Dr. Vivek.
Yeah, I think in this like section 15 to section 18, all of these is a response to those who are defending the Varna system. So like he's specifically talking about the Arya Samajists who are the more reform oriented among the Hindus. And they were suggesting that see Varna is based on birth is bad. So we are saying that Varna originally was meant to be based on worth. It was based on gun, the specific qualities that one person has, not based on birth, right? So that is, in a way, the Arya Samajists are trying to save the Varna system and say that, see, it is not a birth-based kind of system, so we can have it. But then Baba Sahib raises this very important question that why do we insist on using these labels again? If we are going to use the Varna system and we use this term Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, there is already a preconceived notion in the minds of the people, and there is already a hierarchy in which they are arranged in the minds of the people. And you can't just remove that preconceptions. So if we do use these terms, the ideas of hierarchy will still not go. So, and that is why it is still a problematic kind of an idea. And then, as we'll see, he then goes forward in the next section to point out the practical problems in the Chaturvarna system.
Yes, that's what he covered in paragraph 16. How are you going, Baba Sahib wrote, how are you going to reduce the 4,000 castes based on birth to the 4 Varnas based on worth? So now in this paragraph, he is telling the practical issues, what the people who believe that Chaturvarna is a better way, or or to form a Hindu society. He's saying the practical issues in front of them. The one of the first issue is 4,000 castes in India based on the birth. How you are going to divide them the 4 Varnas based upon the birth? Then so then he gave another example, Ram Raj. Ram, there was a Lord Ram in India in history, and he is giving reference to that because it is considered in India the best time India has seen. It was the Ram Rajya. There was no crime and the average justice was prevailing. It was called as with the name of Ram Rajya. So he's talking about that. Ram Raj was a Raj based on Chaturvarna. As a king, Rama was bound to maintenance of Chaturvarna because he is a king. And now he is giving a special reference here. Ram as a king killed a Shudra whose name was Shambhuk, I guess, Dr. Vivek, Shambhuk. Yeah. And he killed Shambhuk because Shambhuk, being Shudra, was trying to learn the Vedas. But then the public complained to king, and as a king, his duty, he killed that Shudra, right? So now, it, so so Baba says wrote further. That is why the Manusmriti prescribes such heavy sentences as cutting off the tongue or pouring of molten lead in the ears of the Shudra who recites or hears the Veda. So Rama as a king was doing his duty, which was mentioned in the, you can say, of that time law book, which is called as Manusmriti, which has all the do and do nots to keep a caste-based system in the society, right? So actually, the culprit is not the Ram. The culprit or the problem is with the book which he or the society that time was following, and that is Manusmriti, which writes these words that we should cut off the tongue and pour the molten lead in the ears if other than Brahmin or any Shudra who tries to learn the Vedas or recites, all the things. And maybe see, in every line of Baba Sahib, there is a lot of ideas. There are a lot of ideas and a lot of messages. We trying to bring the lines which we thought are most impacting and knowledgeable. And when you read yourself, you may find more powerful ideas and lines which might have escaped from our eyes. So please don't take our quotations, what we got from the book, and our thoughts as the final thought. We are three people along with you. We are just trying to do our best, to understand Baba Sahibs in today's world. And one is a political scientist, and one is a biology expert, and another person is a marketing fellow trying to be that learning data science. So, but we are trying to understand, and that's what our aim is. Anybody in the world who wants to understand caste, we try to keep it as simple as possible so that they can understand, how caste works in society. Okay. Next practical problem Baba Sahib mentioned about Chaturvarna was they means the people who believe that Chaturvarna is the better thing, they must be prepared to have women priests and women soldiers, because that never happened in the history. Women were not allowed to go inside the temple, especially to the main area, and they were not allowed as the soldiers. But now, what these people have thought about women? Are they going to give the same right to the women as well? So I think we can have a few thoughts here, and then we'll go to the paragraph next slide.
Yeah, I think, like you said, there are so many quotes that one would want to discuss in all of these sections. So I just wanted to bring in another quote from this section, where he's saying that he's comparing this division into the Chaturvarna to the Plato's idea of three different classes. And he says that something like this is not possible. And let me just read that line out. Yeah, he says modern science has shown that the lumping together of individuals into a few sharply marked off classes is a superficial view of man, not worthy of serious consideration. So he says that humans are much more diverse. They have so many unique qualities that you can't just pigeonhole them into these specific sectors or four different varnas. Right? So that is one thing that he says. And when he's talking about this criticism or this idea of women priest, he first raises the question of what will be the position of the woman in the Chaturvarna. What exactly would be the location? So would they be assigned the Varna in which they were born? Would it be the Varna of the husband? If it is the Varna of the husband, then it can't be the Varna based on birth, and therefore there is a contradiction over here. So that is one thing that is consistently there in the text. The way logic is brought again and again to challenge the assumptions of the opponent. Right? That you might be thinking this, but then he'll deal with every argument logically and dismantle it to convince the other side. So I think that is also there coming out beautifully here.
And the quote which Dr. Vivek is mentioning, Dr. Cecilia has shared in the chat box. You can refer to that as well. Thank you, Dr. Cecilia, for that. So let's move next. What is to happen to the Shudra if the three classes refuse to support him on fair terms or combine to keep him down? Here, actually, the people gave the argument that, why Shudra need education? Why Shudra need to learn how to fight? There are his fellow friends or neighbors, or the other people in the society, Brahmins, Vaishya, and Shudra. They will help him, if they want education, he can go to Brahmin. If he need help with the weapons, he can go to the Kshatriya. So, but on this, Baba Sahib argued, what is to happen to the Shudra if the three classes refuse to support him on fair terms? So, what will happen in that context? Or combine to keep him down, like they will become together and keep the Shudra down. Okay, I have one doubt here, Dr. Vivek. When Baba Sahib is writing his Shudra, are the Dalits included here, or he's just talking about the Shudras only? Like it is confuses me sometimes. Like, yeah, please.
I mean, in this particular text, Dr. Ambedkar is not bringing in the term untouchables as such, or the Atishudras. And he's referring to the Shudras as the larger fourth Varna, which was still part of the Varna order, because he's discussing those who are defending a Varna order. And as we discussed earlier, the untouchables were considered even outside of that. So they were even lower than this. So for him, I think the term Shudra is referring to this particular caste who are Savarnas but not Dvij. So these are still a little above the untouchables. And the untouchables are going to be treated even worse, right? Because they are outside of the Varna system. So I think here the Shudra is referring to doesn't include untouchables, because in his other writings he is very cautious and he carefully uses the term untouchables when he's talking about those sections.
Yeah, that's why I thought to clarify. I don't want to take it for granted that Shudras means everybody other than the three top. Yeah, it is not like, right? He's talking specifically only about the in the Varna system, the lowest one. Right.
Yeah, and by implication, I think we can say that he would say the untouchables would be in a even worse of kind of a condition.
Yes. Yeah. Because here there is a chance of refuse to support. For the Ati Shudra, there is no support at all, actually, right? So that is the situation. Okay. But why make one person depend upon another in the matter of his vital needs? Education, everyone must have. Means of defense, everyone must have. So that is very clear argument. You know, these are the very important thing for everybody. Then why you want to make dependent for these basics on upon the others? In paragraph 7.4, there is no code of laws were infamous regarding social rights than the laws of Manu. Manu is a short form for Manu Smriti, the book which Hindus considered as very holy, sacred, and it got many rules and regulations which Hindus refer to run the society, right? And so it says that there is no code of laws more infamous regarding social rights than the laws of Manu. Any instance from anywhere of social injustice must pale before it. Why have
maybe before going forward, because I think I had a question when you showed the education everybody must have. And here I highlighted a part in that paragraph because I can't find it, of course, because I highlighted a lot of things in my book. But the gist was that when he said education everybody must have and means of defense everybody must have. And then he says something like the fact that if your neighbor has education and means of defense, how does that help you that you are uneducated and disarmed? And maybe my question is, because of course in an ideal society where we all pour our means and like we decide what we want to do and we decide how we want to what we want to give into the society, this would not be problematic. What I mean is, if me as an individual, I choose not to go into education or just a different kind of education or a different kind of, or I'm a pacifist, I don't want to be able to defend myself. My neighbor is defending himself and myself, like, because we are a society. And I was wondering, because then when he was talking also about the ideal society, I thought that that was the goal, right? Of course, everybody should have, I'm all for everybody should have education and everybody should choose what they want to do, but not everybody can do everything. And that's why we live together, right? So I was wondering if what is your thought, or if anybody had thoughts about this concept, right? Because how we write it in this way in this paragraph is quite different, right? Because it says like, how does, if your neighbor is educated, how does it help you? Which is, well, in a way, if we would be in a perfect society, yes, it would.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting observation, I think, because it is, but I don't think it's contradictory to what we saw earlier, because I think what Dr. Ambedkar is responding to here is that the Chaturvarna system also defended that certain things should be done by certain people, certain kind of knowledge should be given to certain people only, and that would become a justification of denying things to others. So,
Ah,
so the for the Shudras there was no possibility of getting educated.
yeah,
For the Shudras, they could never earn any arms. They could never
yeah,
get access to any arms. They could never get any other job. So the
yeah,
Manusmriti said that the only prescribed occupation is to serve the other three classes, the other
yeah,
three varnas. So
yeah.
he's responding to that the
Mhm.
assumption is that, see, even if you don't get education, the Brahmin will have the education and he will
Yeah,
help you out.
yeah, I see.
And but
Mhm.
you don't need to be educated. That is the
Yeah,
premise
yeah,
behind
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So the Kshatriya will have the arms, the Vaishya
Mhm.
will have the wealth. So everyone will do their part. You do
Yeah,
your part, which is going to be
but it's
the
takes
service
part.
of the,
Yeah,
yeah. So in
I
that
see.
sense, he raises this: how does it help me if the other person is educated, right?
Yeah,
And I don't really have the right to be educated at all. I
yeah,
can't bear any arms and all
yeah,
at all.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
choice. Like the choice to be or not to be educated should be yours, and then
yeah.
nobody should stop you from getting an education. But if you don't want to, and if you say no, actually, I prefer
Mm,
to be in service, yes, but that's your
mm.
choice to make, not that comes from above. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let's move next. So, right. So now he's critiquing, he's putting critic upon the laws or the do and do nots in the Manusmriti. Yes, yes. Okay. And so he's saying that any form of social injustice anywhere in the world will pale in front of it, in front of Manusmriti. Why have there not been social revolution in India is a question which has incessantly troubled me. And I guess, I hope I included the reason, or might I am not, because of, yeah, yes. So he's asking now questions why there was no social revolution in India, why in other places in the globe, in the earth it is happening, why? Okay. But in Europe, the strong have never contrived to make the weak helpless against exploitation so shamelessly as was the case in India among the Hindus. Okay. Now we can say like, okay, there cannot be a more degrading system of social organization than the caste system. It is a system which deadens, paralyzes, and cripples the people from helpful activity. Okay, so the activity which are very helpful, like education, getting learning of weapons, they are not allowed to learn all these things, and that is how it deadens them, it cripples them, so they are no fit for any social revolution, right? So if you do not have any weapons, if you do not have education, so like he, in short, if I go before I go into Dr. Vivek, in short, Dr. Babasaheb is trying to say that there is always power struggle across the world, and people in power exploit the people who are not in power or inferior to them. But the way exploitation done in through the caste system in India, the it make the inferior so helpless that there is no chance of any form of social revolution, right? Yes, Dr. Vivek.
Yeah, I think you have covered it pretty clearly. That the reason that he gives for the lack of a social revolution, that if there is such an unequal society, then it is quite surprising that we have not had a social revolution in India. So why is that so? So he says that reason would lie in the complete control over these resources. So the caste system denied to the lower classes any access to education, any access to wealth, and any access to arms. All three of which are necessary for any sort of revolution. So if you don't have education, you don't have knowledge, you won't be able to realize what your real interests are. If you don't have money, you can't really fight. You will always be fighting for your own survival. Right? If you don't have arms, you can't have a revolutionary overthrow. So he's saying all the three means of social revolution that a society could have, these were denied to the lower classes among the Hindus. And he's saying this was not so in comparison. If you see in the European society, it was not so. At least some kind of resource was accessible even to the lower classes over there, right? So that is his explanation for why we haven't had a social revolution, because we don't have the caste system denies the access to these three things.
To make it little clear, because it is little confusing that how this, like for example, in Europe, let's say there is a king and he has all the power, the army, and there is a one person who think the king is not right, and he's learning swordship, he's learning how to wield this sword. So the soldier of the king can make fun of that person. Oh, you are learning sword to defeat the king, but he can learn that. But in Indian context, even that is not allowed as per the rule of the caste system. I hope I'm making
Right.
highlighting the point correctly, right? Even that
Right.
learning was not allowed, as per the Manusmriti, as per the caste system. So you forget making for army and anything. You have been being crippled, to do anything, to do what above than you in the caste system can do, right? And it was a law. It was a
Right.
law of Manu.
Right, exactly. I mean, even if you are able to somehow get access to these things, there would be such severe punishments for that. Like we just discussed the case of Rama
Killing
killing
Sambuca.
of Shambuka, or even the story of Dronacharya and Eklavya, where Eklavya was a person from the lower caste who learned secretly from Dronacharya and the skill of archery. And Dronacharya was not ready to really teach him. He was only teaching the Kshatriyas this particular skill. And then Dronacharya asked him for his thumb so that he can't do archery anymore. So even if we do have people doing this, acquiring these skills, then there would be so much of repercussion. And we can see this continuing in the different forms of atrocities, right? Where if people in certain areas in India, if they lower caste people sit on the same height as the upper caste, there are cases where it leads to violence and so on. So the caste system therefore is able to stop any sort of revolution, any sort of change in this hierarchy that is there.
Okay. I'm feeling happy that I'm able to understand correctly. Okay. Okay. So now Baba Sahib says there is only one period in Indian history which is a period of the Maurya Empire. At all other time, the country suffered from defeat and darkness. During the Maurya Empire, during the King Ashoka, that was the only time Baba Sahib says that India was doing good on the front of equality. Because that time the Shudras became the king, no? And they were actually making most of the decisions during that time. And the Buddhist got the patronage of the rulers of that time, and Buddhism was spreading as a religion of peace across the world, and starting from India. So that time is Baba Sahib is saying is the only period in Indian history. All other times countries suffered from defeat and darkness. So with this we move towards part 18. Um, in part 18, Baba Sahib wrote, the Bhagavad here means Bhagavad Gita, which we short by call as Gita as well, which is a sacred, holy textbook for among the many textbook, one of the holy textbook in the for the Hindus, the Bhagavad. So he says the Bhagavad tells us very definitely that Krishna was taken avatar for one sacred purpose, and that was to annihilate the Kshatriyas. With these instances of rivalry and enmity between the different varnas before us, I don't understand how anyone can hold out Chaturvarna as an ideal to be aimed at. Here Vamsa is referring to that the tussle and the fight and the hate among the Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya about each other, you know. So, and he took the best example from the Bhagavad Gita, where it is very well claimed that Krishna came to kill all the Kshatriyas. Okay, it's a very new information for me, actually. I didn't know this. So, yes, Dr. Vivek, any insights on this?
Yeah, I think in this section, this is like his final blow to the Varna system's defenders. That he is now saying that, see, if you say Varna system is so nice, see what we have seen in history. Across history, we'll find examples of different Varnas fighting with each other, and perhaps the upper three Varnas several times combining to suppress the Shudras. Right? So, can we really see any sort of ideal society in a Chaturvarna, right? So that is how he is dismantling their argument. And then he moves on to talk about caste among non-Hindus and the scripture. That I think is the very important point of the essay that we are moving towards now.
And Babasai gave very interesting example here. It is coming to my mind. I'm sharing. It is interesting because there he was saying that there was a fight between Kshatriyas and Brahmin just to decide to whom to salute first if both are coming, you know, and if both are coming, to whom to give the way, you know. So based upon this question, they have a fight between each other, you know. So and you are making a whole society based upon this Varna system when there is no when they fight on this on the decision of whom to salute first, you know, whether to Brahmin or whether to Kshatriya. Okay, paragraph 19. Caste among non-Hindus is fundamentally different from caste among Hindus. There is no integrating force among the Hindus to counteract the disintegration caused by caste. While among the non-Hindus, there are plenty of these organic filaments which bind them together. So again, I think beautiful biology and sociology mixing up organic filaments, right? And we will let's cover what are these organic filaments, and then I guess we'll talk more about it. Or I missed that. Okay. It is useless for a Hindu to take comfort in the fact that he and his people have survived. What he must consider is what is the quality of their survival. I think we need to discuss this point first. You know, here, Baba Sahib, earlier also one word was used, cement in the community. You know, like in the Sikhism, there is a cement that we all are Sikhs. In the Muslim, there is a cement or the organic filament that we all are Muslims. You know, so what you are in the Muslim, it is a secondary question. But when you talk about the Hinduism, what type of Hindu you are, that is the primary question. So nobody will be satisfied with your question that I am a Hindu. And though we have a very less time, let me give a very personal experience, very short from my school time. I didn't know it was my sixth or seventh standard class. And my classmates asked me, who are you? And I used to tell them Hindu. Then they used to ask me, no, in Hindu, who are you? And I have no idea to what to answer to them because I didn't know that who I am more than that because my parents never told me that. But they knew. I don't know how, but they knew, you know. So and I think this question never stopped, and that is the basic difference. The caste, though there is a caste system in the other religions also, but how it differs being caste system in Hindus and among the non-Hindus. And there is a beautiful debate he has written here. Please read more about it due to the time and other, we are not able to include all the ideas here. So in today's context, would you like to talk about Dr. Vivek? Because the questions about the Paswanda Muslim, you know, and the reservation for them is up. So I think we can connect in timely. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think here Dr. Ambedkar is making that distinction on two, three grounds that caste is being practiced among non-Hindus as well. He agrees with that. But he says that there are certain things which are different, right? So, for instance, I've just put this quote: caste among the non-Hindus has no religious consecration, but among the Hindus, most decidedly it has. So among the Hindus, caste has a religious kind of acceptance. It is a religious practice. It is in fact a virtue. And that is what he'll say in the next line, right? That religion compels the Hindus to treat isolation and segregation of caste as a virtue. So, and he makes this interesting point somewhere that a Hindu is not following caste because he is a bad person. He's following caste because he is a good Hindu, and Hinduism is prescribing him to follow caste, right? So, so he's saying there is a religious sanctity to the caste system that we have among the Hindus, right? Among the non-Hindus, it is not so. It is more of a cultural kind of a practice, and if they do try to reform it, if they do try to break away or try to remove those practices, their religion would support that. The religious principles in Islam and Christianity would support that. They would not stand in way just like it would in the case of the Hindus, right? So that is what he's saying. And then the debate about the Pasmanda Muslims and Dalit Christians, right? Because in India currently we have scheduled caste referring to these caste groups which were formerly treated as untouchables. But because of the government order, only people who are belonging to Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, they can belong to the scheduled caste. If a person belongs to Islam or Christianity or any other religions, they cannot be considered as scheduled caste. So there is this whole debate about what about people who have converted from among the untouchables to Islam? Should they not also get kind of benefit of reservation and protection of Atrocities Act and so on? I think that is a big debate in itself.
Yes.
There are a lot of different kinds of claims and counterclaims to this.
Yes.
But perhaps one way to understand this is that even after conversion, a lot of times we see the social practices of untouchability existing. So you might have converted, but people will still treat you as untouchables, or there might be Dalit Christians are not able to access the same kind of churches as the Syrian Christians. So those distinctions are still there. So in that sense, we need to recognize that there is a common kind of experience. What if there is a untouchable who says, I am an atheist? How would he stop being a scheduled caste because of that? So these are some questions that we need to be pondering over. And there is a great deal of demand that we should make it a religion neutral kind of category. Scheduled caste status should just be on the basis of your past experience as untouchables. That is one major argument that is being made. But I think that would go out of the scope of the
Yes, okay.
book here. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. Next argument is it is useless for a Hindu to take comfort in the fact that he and his people have survived. So this argument is given by a lot of people. Baba Sahib said ki we survived for thousands of years. And in general also, as an Indian, we give this argument ki Indian civilization is so old. See, we survived for so many years. On this, Baba Sahib have given a beautiful comments that why just survival is not enough, we should also check the quality of survival, So what he must consider is what is the quality of their survival, right? So paragraph 20, the abolition of subcastes will only help to strengthen the castes and make them more powerful and therefore more mischievous. There was one suggestion given by the people who support Varna system can bring all the four categories, remove the subcastes. So Baba Sahib was saying that if you remove the subcaste, it will only backfire the society and it will make the caste system more powerful and more mischievous. The real remedy for breaking caste is intermarriage. So Baba Sahib, nothing else will serve as the solvent of caste. So like at that time, people were suggesting that interdining, eating together, is a good practice. It will show, okay, see, I'm sitting with a Shudra and I'm, eating food with them. So, and not that time, even today, this reason is given by many privileged caste in India. You see, oh, I have one scheduled caste person friend. Go to his home and eat food. So, so I'm a good person in the society. But Baba says, no, dining is not enough. If you really want to make things, one remedy is intermarriage. So marriage gradually can absolve the caste. A reformer who defies society is a much more courageous man than a politician who defies the government. So these are little different but connected thoughts, and I really like this one. A reformer who defies society is a much more courageous man than a politician who defies the government. Please, Dr. Vivek, I need your help to understand this. Yes.
Yeah, I think he is now responding to what could be uh, the ways of breaking caste, right? So he's like you said, suggestion was that we can have the abolition of subcaste. So there are so many subcaste among the Brahmin. Let's abolish that and just create a common caste of Brahmin. So that way we can create, and then those castes will combine and we'll have a common society. He is rejecting that idea that no, in fact, it will make consolidate and make those identities stronger, right? And then he moves on to interdining, intermarriage. He's saying intermarriage is the real remedy, and he makes a very interesting statement. He says fusion of blood alone can create the feeling of being kith and kin, and unless this feeling of kinship of being marriage is there, unless that kind of feeling is there, we can't break caste. So only when we have inter caste marriages we'll be able to have that kind of a feeling. And now in this paragraph 20.6, I think is pointing out to uh, the difficulty which a reformer is going to face in India. Right? Because whenever you are trying to reform society, whenever you are challenging the basic fundamental ideas on which the society is based, there is going to be a lot of resistance. Right? So a politician might be able to criticize the government, and that would be acceptable, right? The role of the opposition would be to question the government, and people would say, yeah, that is fine. But a person really challenging something like a caste-based practice, a person trying to do intercaste marriage is going to face the wrath of the people, right? And that kind of an example we can see across history where, for instance, Savitribai Phule and Jyotiba Phule, when they were also trying to support intercaste marriages. And whenever there was an intercaste marriage or a child born out of them, they would take them in and provide them protection. So that kind of reform is much more courageous than just opposing the government. That is what he's saying. The challenge is bigger when you're challenging the social values.
Dr. Cecilia, do you have any example where you can say like, so social reform is more difficult than a political challenge?
I was thinking what Vivek said. In a way, the job of a politician is to challenge the government. Sometimes you have this view of nobody goes into politics because everything is great. It's like when you become a politician, it's like you try to fight for something that you think it's not right, or you try to change something. And so I think it's a great line because I cannot think of a situation in which a politician becomes a politician because he is agreeing to everything the government does. And so it kind of becomes his job, their job, to defy the government. While on the other side, a reformer and defy the society, the only example I can think is really a revolution. Like we're talking about the French Revolution, and like where really there's something completely off with the whole society, that it's not only the government, that it's not only religion, it's everything. And everything is off. And nobody is happy for some reason, or I mean the majority is not, and the very minority group of people controls this system. And I think I mean, in my head, of course, I'm not an historian or a politician, but in my head, it's only a revolution. Like, how do you get rid of a society with quotes, right? You have to burn everything down in a way. You have to start from scratch. But yeah, this I was thinking this while I read this line.
Right. Okay, let's move next. Uh, it must be recognized that the Hindus observe caste not because they are inhuman or wrong-headed. They observe caste because they are deeply religious. People are not wrong in observing caste. In my view, what is wrong is their religion, which has inculcated this notion of caste. If this is correct, then obviously the enemy you must grapple with is not the people who observe caste, but the Shastras which teach them this religion of caste. And I just missed a few part and then I'm continuing. The real remedy is to destroy the belief in the sanctity of the Shastras. So Shastra is a common word for all the Hindu scriptures or the holy books. So single word you can say like Shastras. So yes, Dr. Vivek, what do you think?
Yeah, I think this is like he's now pointing the gun right to the root of the problem. He's saying that we can't blame a person for following caste and say you are bad. They are just following it because their religion is telling them to follow it. So they are not bad people per se. So what is wrong is the particular religion, the particular principle on which the religion is based. And therefore, if we want to really eradicate caste, if we want to annihilate caste, we need to go to the root of how people are learning this. People are learning this from the Shastra, from this religious text, or the social codes that have been passed on among the Hindus, right? So we need to say that, see, the Shastras are not, there is no sanctity in the sense that we can question the Shastras. We need not accept everything that the Shastras are saying. We can say that, see, this is something that we don't agree with, right? So only then we can stop this kind of importance of caste, this kind of embeddedness of caste in the minds of the people. So he's saying that just telling people that stop following caste is never going to work. You need to go to it. He compares it to like force feeding. Like if you just tell people that you have do intermarriages, it's like force feeding them something, but they are not convinced about it. But if we break the sanctity of those religious principle itself, the religious text itself, then people will automatically stop following caste. You won't have to tell them to intermarry. They'll start intermarrying on their own. So that is the idea.
Okay. So you must take the stand that Buddha took. You must take the stand which Guru Nanak took. You must not only discard the Shastras, you must deny their authority, as did Buddha and Nanak. Will you show that courage? And he pointed because this text was supposed to be a speech. So he is directly asking to the audience, will you show that courage? And this question even today stands because I was hesitant to say this, but Dr. Vivek will agree with me. With the present situation in India, if you write this text anywhere in the wall in India without mentioning it is written by Baba Saheb, I'm sure you will get lots and lots of negative comments. How can you write like this? You cannot imagine how much wrath of the people or the big leaders of that time, Baba Saheb must have seen during that time. So, but we have to take a stand. And do you have that courage? The courage which has previously shown by Guru Nanak, who formed the Sikhism, and Lord Buddha, who formed the Buddhism. Right? Do we have that courage? Any thoughts? We'll go next.
Yeah, I think we can move forward because the idea is still developing in the coming
Yes.
sections.
So paragraph 21. you must destroy the authority of the Shastras and the Vedas. But in all this, it is forgotten that the breakup of the caste system is bound to adversely affect the Brahmin caste. In my judgment, it is useless to make a distinction between the secular Brahmins and priestly Brahmins. Both are kith and kin. They are two arms of the same body, and one is bound to fight for the existence of the other. The true answer is that a revolutionist is not the kind of man who becomes a pope, and the man who becomes a pope has no wish to be a revolutionist, by Professor Dicey in his English constitutions. I think we get in coming paragraph more clarity why Baba Sahib suddenly bringing the top caste of India, of Brahmins, in the debate. But he's very clear that I hope I have, yes, yes. So this will become more clear now. In next paragraph, he says, Brahmins form the intellectual class of the Hindus. When such an intellectual class, which holds the rest of the community in its grip, is opposed to the reform of caste, the chances of success in a movement for the breakup of the caste system appears to me very, very remote. I think now we have some gist of ideas to discuss upon it. Yes, Dr. Vivek.
Yeah, I think here what Baba Sahib is suggesting is one must also look at who is interested in keeping the caste system alive. So, of course, people who are benefiting out of it, people who are placed higher in the in this graded inequality of caste, they have an interest in maintaining this, and therefore they will never be the ones who are going to break this system. So you can't expect them to be the ones who actually dismantle the whole caste system, because they are benefiting out of it, right? And they have, as an intellectual class, they should have taken this responsibility, but they have not done that. That is what he's pointing toward. And in fact, in caste in India, he points out to how the origin of caste, the genesis of caste, is from the Brahmins itself, where they start enclosing themselves, start making themselves as a endogamous unit, and that is the origin of the caste system, where every other caste then follows through. So to expect them to lead this reform, to expect the people to actually go against their own community's interest, is not very logical according to him.
Okay. Paragraph 22. According to this rule, rationalism as a canon of interpreting the Vedas and Smritis is absolutely condemned. It is regarded to be as wicked as atheism, and the punishment provided for it is excommunication. Thus, whether a matter is covered by the Vedas or the Smriti, a Hindu cannot resort to rational thinking. So now Baba Sahib is saying that there are many rules written in the Manusmriti and other Hindu scriptures, and they all fundamentally says or stop rational thinking. Don't question what is written in Vedas, don't question what is written in Smriti. You have to just follow what is written there. And as per the more ideas of Baba Sahib, the Hindus are not even compare of one rule from one book to the another book. And there is some gradation, which book should be taken as the final, without any reasoning given by any Hindus, what was written there. So, okay, so if the Hindu cannot resort to rational thinking, and let's move next. Reason and morality are the two most powerful weapons in the armory of a reformer. To deprive him of the use of these weapons is to disable him for action. And maybe now we are getting the answer why social revolution was not possible in India. One, because uh, you have no weapons, you have no weapons of reasoning. You forget, reasoning means education, I guess, right here. So you have no weapons of reasoning and morality, and you have to accept the scriptures as they are. So once you have no chance of arguing or reasoning or morality, so so you are disabled the whole society for of any action. You must not forget that if you wish to bring about a breach in the system, then you have got to apply the dynamite to the Vedas and the Shastras. Which deny any part to reason, to the Vedas and Shastras, which deny any part to morality. Yes, Dr. Vivek.
Yeah, I think here when he is using the term reason, I think it's a broader kind of understanding than just being educated. He's pointing out to the use of rationality to question practices which are wrong. So, if, for instance, sati is prevalent, can you go and reason with the Hindu and tell him that, see, the sati is the burning of the widow seems to be wrong, right? If you are allowed to rationally interpret this, reasonably think about it, you might reach the conclusion that yes, this seems wrong, and therefore there will be some sort of social reform. But according to the Hindu scriptures, according to the Vedas and Shastras, you are not allowed that liberty. You can't think, you can't reason out. Right? You will just answer that, see, my religion is still telling me to do this, so I have to do it. Right? If you ask logically, why are you treating some person as a inferior caste, right? The answer would be that yes, my religion is telling me to do that, right? So you can't use rationality, you can't use logic or reasoning to challenge this, which could have been one way to challenge the caste system or reform the caste system, and that has no place in this kind of a system. So so we need to destroy this system which is denying any sort of rationality to the individual, any kind of agency to decide for themselves.
Yeah. So paragraph 23. Religion must mainly be a matter of principles only. It cannot be a matter of rules. Before this paragraph, Babasaheb beautifully explains the difference between the principles and rules. And he says that religion is a matter of principles. So religion must mainly be a matter of principles only. It cannot be a matter of rules. Uh, then he questioned, what is this Hindu religion? What is called religion by the Hindus is nothing but a multitude of commands and prohibitions, right? And that's what you were saying, like in the Manusmriti, there are lots of rules, and here Baba Sahib had quoted directly from the Manusmriti, giving the lines and text in the book, which says what to do, what not to do, And but here Baba Sahib is saying that, so when people called Hinduism as a religion, so he questioned that itself, because there are no principles, but there are lots and lots of commands and lots of rules and prohibitions, what to do and what not to do. But the worst evil of the code of ordinances is that the laws it contains must be the same yesterday, today, and forever. So he's saying that if you consider even these lot of rules and everything as a religion, that is not the worst part. The worst part is these rules has been taken it as forever, So they are true. They has to be same like yesterday, today, and forever. So which is more problematic, because if there are rules, there should have be a scope of change with the time. But even if you consider the laws and rules, but we are not ready to make any changes in those. And that is the worst thing about this. But the idea of law is associated, sorry, there is a mistake here, with the idea of change. Okay, if there is a law, it has to be changed. And when people come to know that what is called religion is really law, old and archaic, they will be ready for a change. For people know and accept that law can be changed. Now, because at the end, what we want, Baba Sahib, why is saying at the end, what we want, see, Baba Sahib is not just saying that this religion is bad or you people are bad. He is actually trying to understand why there is a problem in the society at the ground root level in India. And he is saying that what you think is a religion is actually is not a religion. And once you tell people what you think is a religion is actually a lot of rules and laws, and then people will accept, okay, if these are rules and laws, then we should be able to change them with the time, right? So that's what he is making a connection among all these ideas. You have to tell the people, tell what you are thinking is the law, is a religion is actually a law and is old and is becoming archaic. So it need to be changed, right? Yes, Dr. Vivek, let me think.
Yeah, I think this is pretty self-evident, like you have explained it pretty well, that he's criticizing this religion because there are just a list of things that you are supposed to do. And he compares it to like following a recipe that you open the packet, do this, do that, and so on. So there is no application of your own mind. There is no responsibility of your own actions. So you are just following whatever has been going on, and therefore it's just following of rules with a mindless kind of application of rules that people are doing, right? And that can't be true religion according to him. He says religion should be prescribing you certain principles, that these are the principles through which you decide for yourself what the right thing to do is or not is, right? So religion will tell you to treat people with respect, and that would then give you a sort of a roadmap to decide whether if I'm treating someone in this way, is this right or wrong, right? So I can't just focus on a rule. I can't just allow that to determine my conduct. It needs to come from certain principles that the religion prescribes, right? So, and in the next section, he goes on to talk about this distinction, that I'm not talking about removal of all religion. I'm talking of replacement of religion of rules by a religion of principles. That it should be a principle based kind of a religion where it tells you these are the values that we cherish, and you decide for yourself whether your actions falls within those values or not, right? And that is more empowering for the individual as well. The individual is now given the agency and responsibility for their own actions as well. That you are now thinking and acting on your own. You can't just blame the rules for saying whatever they are saying. Yeah.
See how beautifully just giving this conclusion, Baba Sahib mentioned about the class which controls society as an intellectual level. Because immediately people will think that then who is stopping us? He will say, just I mentioned who is stopping us, just few paragraph before I mentioned who is stopping us. That's beauty of writing. Great. Okay, so in paragraph 24, Brahmanism is the poison which has spoiled Hinduism. You will succeed in saving Hinduism if you will kill Brahmanism. To put it simply, the old must cease to be operative before the new can begin to enliven and to pulsate. This is what I mean when I said you must discard the authority of the Shastras and destroy the religion of the Shastras, right? So very crisp in this paragraph, Baba Sahib had mentioned what should not be done, and how to save actually Hinduism. So Baba Sahib actually the one of the biggest person who want to save the Hinduism actually from the Brahmanism. Otherwise he right with Dr. Vivek. I'm saying is right. I hope.
Yeah, I think, or what we can also interpret this as is that he's suggesting that this is simply not possible. That this is a challenge I'm putting to you. That you try it. If you want to really reform Hinduism and save Hinduism, then you need to remove Brahmanism. But perhaps he also believes that removing Brahmanism will leave them with nothing else, because there is just a religion of rules. So, do they really have a religion of principles to actually replace them with? Or can they accept the kind of consequences of the reform that would be there if we don't have Brahmanism, right? And then he lists out so many different things that these are the things that you should be doing if you really want to reform and want to save Hinduism, right? And do we really have the strength to do those kind of reforms or not? So it is in a way, he is of course concerned about them, but he is also raising the question to them that are you really up for the task or not? So I think that is one way of looking at it.
And Dr. Vivek, this question came to my mind, and I'm sorry we just reached the time limit. Please give here 10 minutes more, and then we will close the session. Because many people, in very layman terms, they say that Ambedkar was against the Hindus. He went adopted the Buddhism because he was against the Hindus and Hinduism. But so far, I read this book. I am totally convinced Baba Sahib gave enough resources, enough suggestions, enough solutions, and enough time as well before adopting Buddhism. I guess so. I think the people need to correct themselves if still they believe, that he was just simply against the Hindus or the Hinduism.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in that sense, yes. Like he says, even in the concluding paragraph, that I will look at your cause with sympathy. Right, my sympathy is with you. I will be curious to see what is going to happen with you. Right, and so he is of course interested in saving this society. He is like we already discussed. He is not blaming the Hindus for the behavior that they are inculcating. Right, he is saying that the prescription of the religion is wrong. So just change the prescription of the religion, and we'll have perhaps good men, good women beneath them. And so he's not against the Hindus themselves for the kind of activities they are doing. He's going to the root and trying to look at how these kind of ideas come to their minds and how can we stop them from coming to their minds. So I think, yeah, in that sense, it is an empathetic kind of a speech as well. He is extending his sympathy to his opponents in some ways.
So we got last two paragraphs and just six more slides, and in next 10 minutes we'll definitely conclude it. Yes. So paragraph 25. Morality and religion, therefore, are not mere matters of likes and dislikes. The Hindus must therefore examine their religion and their morality in terms of their survival value. The Hindus must consider whether they should conserve the whole of their social heritage or select what is helpful and transmit to future generation only that much or no more. The Hindus must consider whether they must cease to worship the past as supplying their ideals. The Hindus must consider whether the time has not come for them to recognize that there is nothing fixed, nothing eternal, nothing Sanatan. So I think here and the concluding paragraph, uh, Bhavsa gave many options to the Hindus again. Just if you cannot abolish the complete thing, just take the best out of it, which you want to give to the future generation, and keep one holy book. Don't abolish all others. Select one book, go ahead with that. And and accept it that nothing is fixed, nothing eternal, and nothing Sanatan. For me, this was a new, very, very new information. Sanatan, I used to thought related to the religion, but it is Sanatan means eternal, a religion which has no starting and no ending. So, and I think it goes against to the natural principle of the earth. Everything has a beginning and everything has an ending, I guess. So, and things change. So Baba Sahib is trying to convince them of all these sorts. Yes, Dr. Vivek, of all these ideas.
Yeah, I think this particular thing about the kind of reforms that would be required, right? Like you pointed out, he said there should be one sacred book for the Hindus, and then he prescribes that if you really want to make it or discard the rules-based kind of a situation, you need to open up priesthood to all the caste or all the people. You should have an exam for becoming a priest, just like you have for any other profession, right? These are the kind of things he says need to be done. And then he's suggesting that yes, if you want to uh, want this society to survive, you need to chip off those things that have that are dying out, right? So remove those parts from the body which are dying out, and you must retain only the good things. So you need to do a very radical kind of a clipping off of things and saying that, see, these are things which are the region of these are just rules, and you can't call them unchangeable. So another meaning of Sanatan is unchanging, that it is always going to be the same. It is not going to change at all, right? So if you believe in that, that is going to be a rules-based order. Instead of that, you should have a principle-based religion, where the principle would perhaps guide you in reforming or changing things in the future as well. Right. So that is, like you said, it's more in line with how uh, it is more in line with how evolution happens. It how evolution happens over time. You can't just keep on to or stick on to certain things of the past and keep on supporting it. So that has come out very clearly, that if you keep on insisting that your religion is Sanatan, there is never going to be growth, and eventually your religion will collapse. That is the warning he's giving them.
Right. This is the concluding last paragraph of the book. Uh, whose only reward has been a continuous shower of calumny and abuse from national journals and national leaders. Now here Baba Sahib is referring to himself, and I just quoted here. You can imagine the kind of anger from the society, and as well as from the top leaders of that time Baba Sahib was getting. And I'm not saying, when I'm saying anger from the society, I mean in general, the people, because in general the mood was India needs freedom, at any cost. And many people, when people read Baba Sahib, he was talking about with his books and ideas, something big, which people were thinking it doesn't look like talking about freedom. He's talking about the Hindus, he's talking about society, and why he's discussing all these things right now. So he is taking all those things from the common man as well as from the top journals and the leaders. So that's what he says, that I'm getting abuse from national journals and national leaders for no other reason except that I refuse to join with them in performing the miracle. I will not say trick of liberating the oppressed with the gold of the parent and raising the poor with the case of the rich. So please help me to understand this gold of the tyrant and the case of the rich. I'm really lost here.
Yeah, I think, I mean, this is a phrase even I didn't really notice too much. And I'm also wondering what exactly Baba Sahib is trying to say over here. Uh, Perhaps he's pointing to the um, him being called to this kind of a meeting, right, to address the gathering for the breaking of caste, right? He is, of course, going to give suggestions which are going to not perhaps be in the interest of all, like the people who want to preserve the system, the people who want to uh, yeah, so Cecilia is right. Yeah, the Indian Robin Hood, right? So he's coming here as kind of a savior of coming from the lower end of the society, coming there to uh, tell the upper caste that, see, you are bad people, you need to stop doing this. And it's a kind of a miraculous kind of thing to even expect to someone to do this, right? But he's still coming there despite always only getting abuses from the national media, from the nationalist movement. He's still here to give that kind of advice because he believes in the welfare of these people. So, but I'm not sure. There could be other ways to read into this.
Okay, first thing, the performing the miracle. Performing miracle means keep practicing the caste system, Hinduism, and believing that everything will be good, right? So I think it's talking about that miracle. Or is talking the
I
miracle
think the
of
miracle.
Indian freedom? Or like, I'm not sure.
I think the miracle he is referring to the, like he's saying, the liberating the oppressed with the gold of the tyrant. So the tyrant himself coming and supporting the person who is oppressing him, that is never going to happen, right? Or the rich is never going to come and work for the interest of the poor. That I'm not claiming that kind of a miraclehood, that I can do something like that, like the other leaders do.
Now I got it. Okay. So next he says, caste is not doubt primarily the breath of the Hindus, but the Hindus have fouled the air all over and everybody is infected. Sikh, Muslim, and Christian. It is only when Hindu society becomes a casteless society then that it can hope to have strength enough to defend itself. Without such internal strength, Swaraj for Hindus may turn out to be only a step towards slavery. I think these are the last thoughts which I got from the book. Yeah. Over to you, Dr. Vivek and Dr. Cecilia. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is like his final address. I think there is one bit from that section uh, that was pretty controversial for the conference organizers as well. The line that they wanted him to change in the speech. Right? He says, I am sorry, I will not be with you. I have decided to change. This is not the place for giving the reasons, but even when I'm gone out of your fold, I'll watch your movement with active sympathy. Right? So here he was hinting at conversion as his final strategy. Right? He has tried reforming the Hindus. He has tried to, prior to this, we should also know he had tried the Kalaram temple entry movement, the Mahad Satyagraha, and various other attempts at social reform, and he felt that there is no possibility of this thing reforming, right? And therefore, by this time, Baba Sahib had made up his mind that he's going to convert, right? And this kind of obscure reference to conversion that became the whole controversy over which Jatpat Todak Mandal asked him to change that last part. That just don't mention this part about conversion, so that we can hear the rest of it, but just don't mention conversion. And he refused to do that. That he's like, I am not going to change even a comma of my text because I believe in what I am saying. Right? And there is another line. So he's saying that if we really want freedom, then we need to have this kind of strength to defeat caste. Otherwise, we can have Swaraj, we can have freedom from the British, but it is only going to lead to the rule of the upper caste over the lower caste in India, which is going to be like the Peshwa rule that we talked about in the early parts of the book. And then he also makes a very interesting statement. He says, yours is a more difficult task than the other national cause, namely Swaraj. Because in the fight for Swaraj, you fight with the whole nation on your side. In this, you have to fight against the whole nation. So you are now going to have to fight against the people from your community, people from your caste, and tell them not to follow something which is so precious to them, which is so sacred to them, right? And therefore, it is a very big kind of a challenge. And so these are like his final parting kind of words to the audience, where he's saying that, see, if you want to survive, if you want to really, if we want real kind of freedom, real Swaraj, then we need to have a casteless kind of society. Only then we are going to be able to survive this. So, yeah, I think that that this paragraph became the controversial one, but he decided not to change it, even though the reference to conversion is quite obscure. It's not a direct statement he's making, but even that made them so jittery about what would be the response from the others, right? So, yeah.
Okay, with this, I would like to thank you so much to Dr. Vivek, Dr. Chichelia, and all the participants, and who were with us during all these three discussions. And if we still have some last thoughts before we wind up this, so please, we are welcome, and we can talk about it. Yes. But thank you so much. And gradually, we will think about which book to take next up for this discussion, and kindly follow the SARA on social media so that you'll be updated which book we are going to do next. And if any suggestion you have, please feel free to share with us via LinkedIn or email, and we'll be very happy to incorporate our ideas and discuss and have short meetings to learn more. See, the point is st still in India or at the global level also, uh, education is is largely out of the reach of the marginalized communities, and SARA is taking baby steps but solid steps to make education accessible to everyone. So, and I'm very, very thankful to all of you in believing in this cause and doing this work together. So, if you have more thoughts and ideas, please, you're most welcome to share.
I think there's already a suggestion in the chat.
A discussion on Savitribai Phule. Yeah, I think that would definitely be something very interesting. It's very unexplored what Savitribai Phule has written, but we do know some things about their life from some biographers. There are some poems that she wrote, for instance, praising the mobility that English brings and so on. So perhaps that is something we can discuss in the future. I also wanted to add one last thing, like because there might be people wondering why we are discussing a book like Annihilation of Caste in Institute for Data Science. Right, so there might be this kind of a question because that was something that came to my mind as well. Is this really a suitable thing or not? And I think for two reasons it's very suitable. One, because as you said, this is for a bridge course, and to understand Indian society, we need to understand caste, and this is a great book to do that. So if you want people to get into institutes with the kind of awareness about Indian society, this is a fundamental text for them to read. And the second is because the text is a great exercise in logical argumentation. It's a great exercise in persuasion. It's a great exercise in reasoning out things with the other. Right? So, and these are skills which are not, I mean, these are very transferable kind of skills which will help students in any kind of thing, right? Even in programming, I guess you need to have certain kind of logic that you need. If you don't follow this, then you follow that. And you can see that kind of writing style, the logical writing style as well. So I think it's also a text that teaches you how to use reason, how to think logically, how to build your arguments in a strong and very persuasive kind of a way, and doing this with respect, doing with without giving up your own idea of self-respect or compromising on your ideals. So I think for those two reasons, this book might seem unusual, but it is definitely something which is quite useful, and therefore it was a very good exercise for me as well. I mean, having read it before, I discovered so many new things again, and there are still things that are left, which I'm sure people would want to take up later. So thank you so much to SARA for this initiative and giving me this chance. I really enjoyed this. And thank you to Dr. Cecilia for the very nice moderation that you have done, and helped us to stay within the time. Not exactly, we didn't really stick to the time, but you did help us to finish at least. Yeah. So thanks a lot.
Okay, that's okay. And great, thank Dr. Vivek. And it is first time, Dr. Cecilia, I am teaming up with Dr. Vivek. But gradually seeing his profile on LinkedIn and his post, I was sure that I'm making a choice great, and I'm happy I selected him, and he agreed, to be our expert here. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And Dr. Cecilia, same day like this, I met you first time and I just took a chance. Okay, allow this person to be a resource person. And she agreed to resource person. I'm so happy. And so far in last 3 years, fortunately, and with the blessings of Baba Sahib and Buddha, my decisions are taking me in the right direction. And SARA is going in the right direction. And that is a great time saving, great time saving and resource saving. Though we have limited resources, so it's a great resource saving. And that's why I'm telling you, Dr. Nikki, Dr. Rajeshri, and all of you, please share your ideas. Anything you have, we'll definitely go with that. Yeah, Dr. Cecilia, from your side, please.
Yes, I wanted to say as well, like for me, I think I come from the opposite direction than from Vivek. This was the first time I read this book. Everything was completely new for me because it was really historical learning. And at the same time, it was so many concepts transcend, Indian culture, and it's like kind of a worldwide concept, right? It's like what it takes to be human and what it takes to be in a society with other humans. And this was incredible because I think, we said it many times, like the way he writes is so clear, so clean, so is an intellectual. So this was a great opportunity for me to learn more about Indian society, but also like understand things that again transcend, and they are also all over the world. So yes, this was great. I love this book club. I'm so sad I missed the second session, but happy to be here today. So I hope we can do more of this.
Yes, we will. And you have been a great moderator. And Dr. Vivek, you have been a great expert for us on this topic. Okay, see, I received these first two books now, So, and what do you think? Because, okay, one idea of including Savitribai Phule, it is just my thought. Please correct me on this. I'm thinking to, take a completely different topic for the next book, because I want to challenge the brain so that switching between the topics, otherwise we'll become little comfortable with the topics. And I want to, what you say, saving myself from the, I'm not, I don't want to say the boring stuff, but I just want to say little more challenge. Now let's go towards the space, I heard very good things about Carl Sagan. And, one guy, his name, Rohit Vemula, he wrote a line, from about the Carl Sagan, and let's see, what do you suggest, Dr. Vivek and Dr. Cecilia? Shall we go for this book now for Cosmos? What do you suggest?
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah, I think that would be a great, inclusion, because now this was quite a specific kind of a book that we discussed, and now Cosmos would be going to the very universal kind of, right. So that would be a great exercise, I guess.
And
yeah.
I also see what if I'm very, very happy doing this, I will be there next time, and Cecilia will be there next time, Dr. Will be there. But if it becomes boring, it will know, I feel okay, you're saying, something changed so that we'll feel alive. So I heard a lot of things about Carl Sagan, but I never read any of his work. And these are the two first book donated to the SARA Book Club. So big gratitude to that person as well, I guess.
Yeah.
So only thing is I need to find a person who is an expert or who can talk more about the cosmos, right? And you can also help me with this. Definitely, you can help me with this, right? And then we can start with this. So gradually at the end, my purpose of this book club is students should be able to switch between the ideas. They come outside of the silos, like Dr. Cecilia came out of laboratory of bioinformatics to the sociology laboratory. Dr. Vivek with a political science, background he shared with us, though we don't know anything about the political ideology sociology. So I want the students and the academics. I hope Dr. Cecilia will agree with me and Dr. Vivek also. People are, if I'm a sociologist, I will only talk with sociologists. I will talk only about
Yeah,
sociology. Then society doesn't work only with
limiting.
sociology, right?
Yeah.
You have to come outside of that little bit. I'm not saying become expert, little bit talk about economist also, little bit talk about, a bioinformatics person also. They are nice people.
Maybe you
Like,
discover also new interests because
sorry?
you never thought you would be interested in something else, and then you read a book and you're like, ah, this is actually very interesting to me, and
Agree.
I never knew.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the end, the future generations, my kid should have an ability to make a decision, and decision involves everything,
Yeah.
social, economic, all the situation a person has to think through it. So
Mm.
that's what I want. Maybe less successful, but accept the failure. You know less, and accept it.
Mhm.
You can think beyond your office room. You can think beyond in your degree. All those
Mm.
thinking must the future generation have. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm not sure how wrong or right I am, but that's what I'm believing that SARA should.
I think it's a great place to start, yes, or to continue, yes. Yeah.
So thank you so much once again, and it's a great time. So let's go for Cosmos in the next session, and please help me to find an expert for this. And we will very soon trouble again, Dr. Vivek, when we need a political scientist. So we will not allow you to take more rest. Okay, so soon we'll be back. So yes,
And I'll be eager to hear from the other experts and presenters now. Yeah, because these are things that I have not read about, and I look forward to that as well. It would be quite interesting to